We are live. What's up, everybody? It's Chief Mr. Drew here to welcome you to another episode of the Glowczewski Experience. This is going to be episode 218. Going to continue the character concept portraits. And yeah, we left off with the last video with this kind of comic ink, going with the black ink first before I just start inking from light to dark. And I've been trying to play, or trying to consider how I want to go next, and I think I figured it out. I wasn't sure if I was just going to straight up color these things with a general color, a general flat color, and hopefully not let it be too dark, or if I'm just going to go from light to dark again, even after going with the black inks. Now this ink here is like 2 days old, so hopefully it's dried up enough where, it ought to be dried up enough where I could run a lighter color over it and not have to worry about the bleed so much. So that should be good. Oh, what's going on here? Oh. And, but yeah, so we're just going to color this one in, man. I really like it. I mean, I would love to just keep it like this. I really like this look, but I mean, honestly, I already took a picture. You know, I take pictures of all the steps of everything that I work on, so I'm drinking coffee. I'm probably gonna have to pour myself a second cup on this stream, and I'll be doing the one-handed dance over here while I work on this stuff, at least in the beginning. So yeah, man. So welcome back for all you who watch me regularly. Welcome back. Thank you. Love y'all. And for anyone new, man, especially if you're on YouTube, man, this is a Twitch recording. Probably happened a while back, and you are watching old content. If you want to catch me live, just watch me on Twitch. These videos go right up to my Patreon afterwards, also, so you could even watch them on my Patreon. And for most of the videos, you'd have to actually be a patron to watch them, and that starts at $1 a month, just for like regular old general support. But starting at $3, you get commissions from me, so you have like character or anything like that you want. Sup, nope. And things like that, and then the tiers go up from there, and it's cool. But either way, man, we're gonna jump into this one. I wonder, should I just pour my other cup of coffee right now? Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna start here. As a matter of fact, let me just lay the base color so we can just get the art going. Then I'll go pour myself another cup, and then we'll continue. I got some YouTube playing in the background. Right now I'm kind of at the end of a Metal Gear video. It's just some guy talking about Metal Gear K-Bash. And then it's going to go into the latest Bad Batch episode, and then some One Piece stuff, and then we're going to end it with some Sekiro videos by Body Vidya, who's always making something dope. So yeah, I'm going to let that stuff play. Let's get started, man.
These deadly shadows, resorting to violence shows a kind of frustration with mechanics, something not clicking, or the red method being more enjoyable, expedient, rewarding. It makes narrative sense. Big Boss sends out a villain, and this particular version of Big Boss is still learning how to be. But I think it'd be nicer notched once more in the player's favor, that's all. These frustrations can carry over to MGS5's many systems and menus as well. Like I said, Peace Walker laid the groundwork, and you'll be farming quality soldiers in the field, allocating them to different teams in the base, developing new equipment, developing the base, developing forward bases, listening to audio tapes, because thank God it wasn't all in cutscenes, doing side missions, gathering plates. Oh yeah, the entire online system too. If I had time, man, if I had the time. But instead of just sitting here, looking like this. Yeah, thanks for all the menus and options and the hologram-producing iPod. Where we drop it next? It can drag, but by the end you transcend, become the boss, master the mechanics, make $1 million. It's all worth it, but you're worn out, punished, if you will. But wait, exposition in audio tapes? What did they do for the story? That's like cutting half the content. It's actually handled a lot better. Okay, in some ways. clearly worse than others. Let's break it down. So in previous titles, information was handled like, has anyone really been far, even has decided to use, even go want to do, look more like, shut the hell up, you babbling swine! And the game's still kind of unsure about delivering info at times. There's a real currently available scene where you infiltrate an enemy base, come face to face with the bad guy, he walks you to his car, you sit down, and he monologues at you for like 5 minutes straight. Then the dialogue ends, and you sit in stark silence, a ruler apart, for at least a minute or two more. I was crying. Fuck! Boss looked at him weird, and he's like, this will never talk again. Mind you, his motivation and ideas are interesting if, let's call them supported only by necessary assumptions. So Skullface believes imperialism is evil.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up there, and he wants to wipe out English, the language, with vocal cord parasites. Weird, but Metal Gear. I think it's a bit heady and won't land for the average player, especially because his entire plan assumes that the world won't just adapt a new lingua franca, another commoner language. It's like thinking nerfing a top-tier character won't just make a new top tier. The next down the line. What's good, Skullface? You don't think Mandarin's up next? If you nerf Johnny would just be Chun-Li. Whatever his assumptions, he's clearly pathologically warped by the need for revenge, and as a theme, it carries at least the main crew, Vol'jin and Eli as characters as well. At least it's consistent. But broadly, MGS5 cuts down on cutscenes, spaces them far apart, shortens them, and the unfortunate consequence is a story that feels disjointed, incomplete. But isn't that the point? If you don't know the twist, I won't spoil it here, but suffice it to say that Big Boss is living a lie, doing what he feels he needs to do again after Mother Base was totaled at the end of Peace Walker, and he's only headed to a bad end in the original Metal Gear games, chronologically speaking. He's joined by so many faces familiar to the player, it feels just like a Metal Gear game, at least in its many familiar pieces, but it isn't. It's not a linear crawl through a series of interesting scenes with twists and reveals, because the large open space necessitated by the open world gameplay is filled by the player. In the end, as characters you bring close recede, relationships end, and things fall away, you're left only with what you've built and done. The player is Big Boss, a living legend defined by his actions, good or ill. I gotta say, playing the game I wasn't big on it, but writing about the experience is making me feel things. And for me, the true climax has nothing to do with Skullface or Subtle Anthropist or any of that stuff, but rather the incredibly uncomfortable quarantine scene. Kojima is not new to the uncomfortable. Peace Walker was a partial dive out of the old games. One thing Big Boss can do that Snake never really could is be a leader of a squad. Snake worked best alone, made mention of it multiple times. Big Boss was consistently surrounded by people who adored him, people who were aware of his legendary soldier status and wanted to work for him. MGS5 takes all that goodwill, people willing to take hits from you, people who want you to harm them to learn something, people who will salute you as you walk by, whose morale is raised by your very presence, who utterly defer to you and makes you kill them one by one. It's not the whole base, it's just the quarantine units, but it is the most wholly uncomfortable thing I have ever sat through in video games, period. That kind of emotional climax is the very reason MGS5 does not end at Mission 30. A strong argument for games as art. Not that that was really in question, just that it's a clear integration of gameplay and story. My favorite true combo, gameplay is sad. Well, to sum up the series, it captured an audience, entertained them consistently, but when it came time to move on, expectation became the thief of joy, and the games uprooted and stole away from cinematic linearity to build an entirely separate legacy on the very foundation laid long ago. Metal Gear may very well have dissipated, but its spirit is undispellable. Hey, it's K-Bash. Special thanks goes out to my $4 patrons, whose names are on the screen. The show's on its way somewhere good, thanks to the community's generosity. And special thanks goes out to my extra generous patrons, who are Alexa, Andy Blarg, Arch, Basement Dweller, Boha, Brios, Cal, Can I Cuss on here? Caesar T, Cordant, Chris A, Christo009, Cody Golden, Corgi the Lad, Couch MOBA, CW Glassworks, Kyle Lapreed, Daddy Dagoth, Dakota Storm Jones, Dondium, Danky Stank Swanky Make, Dara, David Castillo, Dan Head, Desdemona, Dylan Coffey, 8-Bit Funk, LPO, Elsa, Annex, Aesthetico, Exa, Frankenstitch, Glitch Seeker, Guard Corey, Gucci Plant, Hatsune Miku's
Gucci
Plant
Plant.
House, Harkaj, Heeman Gaming Station, Huey, Ingenious Clown, I Punched a Sandwich, Irradiated Cherries, Ice Kyle, Ivy, Ruth Langley, Jason Lasky, Jaden, J-Daz, John Weber, Joke Frog, Keegan Too Cool, Clocked, Creighton, Crazy Dark Chocolate, Latrix, Laundry Mom, Lego Sid, Loki, Lon, Lucas Boyd, Magical Madman, Marcules, Maximilian Wolfgang Niver, Mike DeVR, Milky Moo Official, Mitchellanius, Mr. Dodongo, Nyrino, Nito Torpedo, Old Burgle, Old Man Cranberry, Only LK, Kaplant, PK Gaming, Quasar McDougal, Quillworth, Quinn, Reasonable Willow, Reggie Rodriguez, Ricochet Frame, Sagitt Trash, Siren Smells Good, Salty Smasher, Sam Vertigo, Sekai no Warrior, Chad, Silver Bear 909, Simp God, Sleepy Wabbit, Space Lizard, Special Children, Spooky Grimalkin, Squishword, Sublime Cataclysm,
Squishword.
Super Casanova, Super Sandwich Guy, TFY Lex, The Big Bubby, The Salt Knight, Thrips Heartrock, Travis Edwards, Twiddle Chungus, V01156, Vid, Venom, Vice Pup, Viewers Like You, Vic, Walter Taggart, Waposa, Weed Trash, Well Shit, Zanny Tanner, Yay Kundo, Zachary Livesey, Zachary V, Zanasso, Zane the Impure, Zane the Pure, Zed Slayer Gamer, Cyberbunk. If you'd like to help support the show and make it even better, check out my Patreon. We've got all kinds of goals and lots of rewards in store.
See how this marker is getting a little dirty?
K-Bash out.
It just picks up the black ink and starts to kind of smear it. It's because it's a wet medium, and once you re-wet it, it starts to happen it all over again. That's why I don't like to ink black first. It's been so long. Oop.
But we're in the end game now, and the penultimate entry has a lot of Easter eggs, hidden details, and things you missed that hint towards what's going to be happening in the finale. Obviously, there's full spoilers for the series in this video, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, then go look at some other breakdowns. Yes, we've been 15 weeks, but if you've been with us the whole time, then smash the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss next week. It's going to be fun. And with that out of the way, thank you for clicking this here. Let's get into the Bad Batch. Now, last week saw Project War Mantle come into full effect. This was an operation carried out by the Imperials that slowly shifted their army away from relying on clones, and instead the Empire began relying on enlisted citizens. Yesterday, Disney announced that we would be getting a second season of the show, and this episode leaves it so that the clones are pretty much all but destroyed. I'm not sure exactly who wrote this on one of my videos, but shout out to the commenter who did, and they said they think there'll be a big Order 66 with other clone troopers, so give yourself a pat on the back if that was you. And just do it. You know what, if it wasn't you, just give yourself a pat on the back anyway. You deserve it. Also, kick me in the face as I missed Scorching last week's episode after banging on about how good Republic Commando was for about 20 minutes. Now, the episode itself centered around the Batch rescuing Gregor for Captain Rex, and though the operation almost went off without a hitch, Hunter was captured at the end and forced to come face to face with Crosshair. That should have you fully caught now, and it leads instantly into this new episode. Now, Return to Camino starts off with the Imperial forces traveling through hyperspace. This framing device has been how a number of episodes have opened with the Batch, but its usage here shows the dog path that Hunter is on. Crosshair takes Hunter's comms device, which is based on a newer model that we saw in A New Hope. The original one used in the prequel trilogy was actually a repurposed women's razor, and this switch-up shows how the tech will come to be in the original trilogy. Hunter says they'll know it's a trap, but as Crosshair rightly states, they'll come for him because of their loyalty. Camino is of course an important location, as it's not only where they were created, but potentially it's also the place that they could die. After the Cat Bane episode, Omega stated that going back there was her greatest fear, and Hunter promised that she'd never have to. However, due to his capture, she must return, and this very much plays into the notion of travelling into the belly of the beast, which falls from the hero's journey story archetype first popularised by Joseph Campbell. This involves a hero being plucked from their home, getting a mentor, and then travelling into a location
Right.
that transforms them. It's something that's been used in the majority of Star Wars properties, and that death of a mentor bit could spell doom for Hunter if they stick to this arc. We return to Ord Mantell and learn that Gregor has been dropped off with Sid, so I'm guessing that unless he pops up in Season 2, that last week's episode will be the final time we see him before Rebels. Might also show up in the finale, but you never know. Now shoutouts to Simon A. Berman on, you guessed it, Twitter, for pointing out that Gongi is back after his sacrifice last week, but that he's now being used to arrest a toolbox on. You bloody idiot, Gonki, you're useless. Due to last week's confrontation,
Alright.
the ship is badly damaged.
So let me go.
Fix it up and
Let's
track
focus
it
this
to
camera
ground,
first.
which we can now see is completely overrun by Imperials. The music also
I'm gonna go
Caminos
refill this coffee.
clone. And I have to say, I love this setting due to the weather conditions. There's such a darkness to the planet, but there's also some contrast to this when we pass into the corridors and see the beaming bright lights. For me, it's one of the coolest settings in the Star Wars saga, and come the end of the episode, I was a bit emotional. Now we learn that enlisted citizens are fully overrunning the clones, and this ship was seen in the introduction of TK numbers over the CC ones. We can also see Stormtrooper uniforms, which look like they're based on the original designs by Ralph McQuarrie. Rampart greets them and discusses write-off, and Omega brings up the location's name, which is Tavoka City. She knows of a secret landing pad, and as we theorize, the location is destroyed at the end of the entry. During the campaign episode, there was of course a rundown counterpart to this, which existed in the clouds. We learned that the operation there had been destroyed due to a critical core issue, but that there was an escape pod, which might be showing up next week. The atmosphere is so tense, and I'm surprised that nobody said they didn't have a good feeling about this. The Bats use a hidden platform that requires you to be close to it, and they sneak inside through a tube system located beneath the city. This reminded me a lot of the scenes in Empire, and the tunnel they travel down looks a lot like the one that Luke falls into after facing off against his father. There's also flashes of the Gungan city here from Naboo, and it's such a cool moment that perfectly builds tension towards
Okay.
what's to come. They arrive in Nala Space Lab, which is hidden from the majority of those in Tavoka City. We learn that this is where they develop the deviant clones that all have certain mutations put in place.
Alright, what do we got next?
Last week we theorized that Nala Say would end up going to work on cloning the Emperor as well as Snoke, and I think this scene which discusses their expertise just about confirms it. Major experiments are carried out there, and Omega says that she was there when the batch were created, and I took this as meaning that she's actually older than they are. Now you could take it that she means she was just part of this room too, but I kind of lean more into the former theory, as that's way more interesting of a twist. Me and Simon the old boy, we were talking about this, and decided that if she looked over them growing in the tanks, then it makes sense why she was so desperate to meet them in the first episode. The full system has been wiped out, and we see that AZ-345-867-69 is still there, who you might recognize from the first episode. Yes, I'm very immature. We learned that he ended up hiding after the TK troopers ushered everyone there onto transports, and that the only clone left is Crosshair. They actually used his original designation of CT-9904, which shows that he's now viewed as a number rather than as an individual. Choking me crave is fast food, yeah? Taking me bloody uniform. And at this point, the clones are now in the minority rather than being the majority. The batch go looking for Crosshair, and Omega is told to wait behind and contact Rex if things go south. He, of course, will no doubt be popping up for the finale, and the character definitely...
Yeah, see, it's starting to muddy up the black ink.
They're clearly setting up his
Oh.
return, and he will potentially show up next week, maybe...
Terrible.
They shoot up into the train.
Probably should have hit it with some fixative. I'll experiment with it. I'll play with that idea.
It's a trap, though, and Crosshair has lured them there. Omega ends up launching the Dark Troopers, which were used for training, and you might remember these soldiers as being part of Moff Gideon's forces in The Mandalorian. Hunter rightly tells Crosshair that the Imperials are facing out the clones, and we discussed in videos how we believe that his chip didn't really work and that it malfunctioned. We said that Crosshair simply chose to be part of the Imperials because that's what his values align with, and we discovered that his chip was removed a long time ago. The burn marks on his head hid the scar, and it's nice to have this basically hiding in plain sight for a lot of the season. Now, he believed that the badge stood for the order that the Empire would bring, and that is what they were fighting for the whole time. Crosshair feels betrayed because those he was loyal to left him behind, and thus he aligned with the Imperials as they were what made him feel useful. He's one of the best soldiers in the galaxy right now, and he gives them the choice to either join the Imps as his brothers or to die. Crosshair murders the rest of the elite squad in an amazing hole-in-one, and Omega is called by the final member. Crosshair orders her to be sent off-world, however AZ arrives and saves her. Now there are theories that this elite squad member is actually Iden Versio, but the timeline doesn't really match up, as she would be a child at this point. However, it is possible that it's her mother Zihei, who did serve for the Empire. I know there's other characters it could be too, so if you have any ideas, then let me know below who you think it is. Now once the droids ambush everyone, Crosshair ends up fighting alongside his brothers, and the Star Destroyers end up raining fire on the location. We learn from Rampart that the cloning tech is now under Imperial control, and Tarkin says he may fire when ready, which the character of course repeated during the Death Star's attack on Alderaan. As always, the batch are stuck in Alderaan places, and they're completely unaware of what's about to happen. Hunter holds a gun to his brother and tells him to forget the Empire, but Crosshair refuses, and this is when he reveals the truth about the chip. Hunter ends up stunning them, and they try to escape, but that plan is very short-lived. Now it's crazy watching the Kaminoan facility, which was so full of life, abandoned, and the place is absolutely decimated from the sky in one of the most impactful moments in the series thus far. We don't know if the batch survived, and it leads to one of the darkest endings thus far. We don't get any music in the credits, that left me desperate to find out what happens in the finale. Now obviously, they will survive, and I think they'll end up teaming up with Crosshair in order to escape. They might even reach out to Rex to come save them, or use the escape pod that we know exists on the platforms. The Empire have just betrayed Crosshair and shown what they're really like, and though he thought he was valued, as we know from our jobs, no company will ever love you as much as you love it. Just go self-employed, yeah? Go self-employed like the batch. You'll thank me later. And overall, very, very solid entry that does its job in just knocking all the dominoes down and getting me really excited for what's going to come next week. I will be back, but until then, obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure you comment below and let me know. We're also running a competition right now and giving away 3 MCU box sets on the 3rd of August, and all you have to do to be with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment with your thoughts on the entry. We pick the comments at random at the end of the month, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so message me on Twitter at heavy spoilers if that's you. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of the Venom trailer, which will be linked on screen right now. We've gone over the entire thing from top to bottom, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more about that movie. That out of the way, thank you for listening to this video. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.
Here from Anime Out, we're back at it again to talk about One Piece, and wow, this chapter was full of great moments and one of the craziest cliffhangers, so make sure to stay tuned for this one. If you do enjoy seeing these weekly One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming, the best thing you can do is channel the Pirate King within and smash that like button. If you haven't, make this the video you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications or you will miss future One Piece videos. And if you're new to the Space Fam, let me know by saying hi in the comments. Lastly, while you wait for the next chapter to drop, feel free to check out my growing One Piece playlist that includes videos on all the Yonko, Warlords, Revolutionaries, and much more. Link to that is in the description. Now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. So this chapter is called Demonio, which Google translates as Spanish for devil, which seems to refer to Robin, obviously the devil child, who was in the middle of her battle with Black Maria last chapter. Another Flying Six member who are recently dropping like flies. 1. Drake switched sides. 2 and 3, Page 1 and Ulti were defeated with some help from Big Mom. 4. Frankie beat Sasaki. You gotta love Robin and her beautiful self. She bloomed a big version of herself to match Black Maria's big size and uses Sea Serpent, a move where her giant arms flail about and grab Maria. The problem is though, Maria attacks the giant arms, which in turn hurts Robin as well. It's a double-edged sword, as Maria points out, because although this gives Robin greater reach and coverage, she becomes a bigger target too, including to Maria's poison-tipped spider legs. Maria uses webs to trap all of Robin's giant arms, leaving the beautiful giant Robin wide open for an attack. We get an interesting moment where Maria puts on brass knuckles and says she's a martial artist at heart. Not something I expected from someone who often uses a weapon and has all those spider tricks up her sleeves, but an interesting development nonetheless. She just jumps in there and starts beating on giant Robin, saying there's no need to hold back since they're both women. You can tell she's really enjoying herself here, and again, it's shown how in One Piece, female characters can be just as ruthless and skilled in fighting as male characters. This is nothing new for One Piece, since we have a female Yonko after all, but still, it's notable. Maria even calls the giant Robin a satisfyingly large punching bag, and you see Robin's human body in pain from all the hits. This is no downplayed fight, and I really appreciate that. It might even be my favorite Flying Six fight yet, which is saying a lot. The tables have clearly turned though, and Robin de-blooms her giant body, while Maria comments on how she's now the one trying to get away. Robin tries to grab her or hit her with some giant arms, but Maria skillfully blocks them and traps them with her spider webs. Not only that though, she then reveals that the webs are flammable and lights them on fire. From the looks of it, Maria has the clear advantage right now. And as people do when they get overconfident and think they're gonna win, she starts trash talking. She starts talking about how Robin said it would be over quickly, and now she's losing. She talks about what a disgrace Sanji is again, and says that this defeat proves what a hopeless pair they are. I'm sure Sanji would love to hear that he's being paired up with Robin here, but the point is, one last time, Maria's emphasizing all of Robin's potential insecurities. Robin is now trapped by webs, and the fire is everywhere, to a large extent preventing new limbs from blooming because they would just burn up and hurt Robin. Maria asks why the giant skeleton yokai, a fitting description for Brook in Wano, doesn't help her, but again, Brook just laughs it off, calling her moronic. All the Straw Hats don't see Robin as a damsel in distress in need of saving, and that's not because they don't care about her, as Maria keeps emphasizing, but because they trust and rely on her, and they don't want to disrespect her by not trusting in her abilities. Maria keeps hitting Robin, saying, what is the devil child gonna do now? She's helpless, then wait for her crew, and they only value her mind, so she doesn't even need her limbs, since no one needs her help. And there's the big thing. People feel good when they're needed by others. And for Robin, someone who has struggled to feel worthy and find meaning in life, Sanji and Brook trusting in her to help them is the greatest gift. That's what a Nakama is, relying on each other and knowing you can't do everything on your own. Luffy is not a Super Saiyan God Ultimate. Without his crew and friends, he would have lost most of his battles in One Piece. Another interesting thing is that Maria says they only value her mind, which in and of itself, to me, is not a huge insult. Even if Robin wasn't a fighter, she'd still be an asset because of her knowledge, and that's not really an insult in and of itself. Of course, beyond that, she's also a terrific fighter, and obviously the crew doesn't just view her as a brain, just as they don't just view Zoro as a sword. They view her as family, as an irreplaceable part of their Nakama. We then get a flashback of Robin with the revolutionaries, and this seems like a good time to plug my most recent One Piece video about Monkey D.
Wait, where is my gray marker?
Definitely check it out when you finish this video. But for the purpose of this chapter, the revolutionaries are teaching her not to just slap, but how to do a powerful palm strike. I kind of wish she became an expert in Dragon Claw fishing like Sabo, but at least she does agree to learn the fishman karate palm thing, as she calls it. I love seeing Koala and Sabo so happy when
I can't find my gray marker.
She already used it in the past to help
Oh well.
her crew, as we see her
Just
using
use
it
this
on
one
the
for
ship.
now.
Sabo explains that she's got to hone in on the opponent's core, and that this move will be her trump card. She ends up using the secret fishman karate move with a giant arm, and Maria thinks she missed, but no, actually she took down the ceiling, stopping the fire. I love those next level chess-like moves. And then we see something truly crazy and epic. Robin, looking very fine, adopts the look of a devil in this form called Demonio Blur. She says she'll be the devil if that's what it takes to help the people counting on her. Such an epic moment, and I love seeing Black Maria horrified at the sight of our Straw Hat. Clearly, Maria has become the prey here. Robin even brings back what Maria was saying to her, that this time Maria shouldn't have
Oh,
limbs, and then in
let's
this
focus.
amazing panel, she uses her new form in advanced dislocation techniques to completely wreck Black Maria. I cannot wipe the smile off my face. This was such an amazing moment. I love the look. I love the vampire teeth and wings Robin's got going on here. And it's significant that she's not calling herself a devil child, but a devil, as if she's fully grown and become a full-fledged devil, one that obviously you don't want to mess with. What a moment for Robin. It's one of my favorite moments of hers, not only because she beats a Black Six member, but because of the progression of her character arc and the form and the great dialogue taking place. And it's official, I can't decide between Robin and Nami. I feel like I alternate every single time between which one I like more, depending on who gets the most recent epic moment. I'll just have to accept that I can't choose between these two gorgeous girls. So after that glorious battle, the Maria underlings can't enter because the ice walls that Brooke created. And as they peek between the walls to see Maria defeated and Robin looking like a demon, Brooke takes advantage of the fact that they're all lined up and hits them with an orchestra, finishing the force off. We see Robin saying she overdid it a bit and falling down as Brooke comes in saying, "Easy there, Robin." A very heartwarming moment, and wow, Robin could not have been cooler in that fight. She gets MVP for this chapter, for sure. We then get Caribou, who is using his swamp
Oop.
powers to take out a month's worth of food on an attempt to get Luffy back to 100%. And Luffy is looking better, really going to town on the food. We get a hilarious moment where they're asking if Luffy can explain the situation, and he speaks as he's eating, and all that comes across is trap, munch munch, chew chew, whoop, Kaido, and that's pretty much it. It's absolutely hilarious. And then perhaps the most interesting thing this chapter happens, which is a big statement after Robin's amazing performance, but I think it is warranted. Momo and Shinobu are talking. Shinobu is overprotective, but Momo insists that they must do all they can, and specifically he must do all he can to defend the capital and stop it from being destroyed. In order to do that, not only does Momo have to go back, he wants Shinobu to use her ripe fruit to turn him into an adult. He'll still have
Fuck
the
yeah, we've been
body and
waiting for
heart
that.
of a child, and he'll never be able to return to normal. But Momo doesn't care. He needs access to the more powerful version of himself and the more powerful dragon that it would result in. We're told on the side of the final panel that Momo is showing such unwavering resolve. He's crying but determined to do anything he can to help his country, a true leader worthy of being the son of Odin. This is an amazing turning point, and if it wasn't for Robin's epicness this chapter, I'd give the MVP to Momo for his resolve alone. This is going to be crazy. Now that it's been mentioned, it's pretty much guaranteed to happen, and since Momo has a clone of quite possibly the strongest fruit, he'll be insanely useful once he becomes an adult. Although I'm not saying this will happen, Shinobu can in theory use the fruit on Luffy if needed to give him a power boost too. The possibilities here are really endless, and I can't wait to see Momo become the legend he's so clearly meant to be. But wow, guys, what insanity, what epicness, what all-around mind-blowing moments and reveals. One Piece is fire, and that's nothing new, but I always gotta make it clear just how good it is, in my humble opinion. 1,021 chapters in, and I'm still on the edge of my seat, looking forward to the next chapter. As usual, let me know your thoughts on this one, what you're looking forward to happening next the most, and let me know who your MVP was this round. The very attractive Robin, the cool Brook, the Swamp Bridge Caribou, or the Resolve Dragon Momo. Plenty of choices to choose from. Even that one guy who talks a lot this chapter while he's eating so no one understands him. But yeah, if you did enjoy this review and want to keep them coming, the best thing you can do is channel the Pirate King within and smash that like button until it changes colors. Sometimes it changes to black, white, blue, whatever it is. Smash that thing. If you haven't, make this the video, you subscribe, and hit that notification button to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future One Piece videos. That's just the way it works. And if you are new to the Space Fam, let me know by saying hi in the comments. So glad to have you aboard. Lastly, while you wait for the next chapter to drop, feel free to check out my growing One Piece playlist that includes videos on the Yonko, Warlords, Revolutionaries, and much more. Link to that is in the description. And
Cyberpunk Scott Summers.
Space Capital.
I like it. Yeah, with the leather jacket and the goggles, for sure. Come to think of it, this pose is actually kind of similar to the Cyberpunk cover, right? Isn't the guy like facing one way but dramatically looking in the opposite direction? Something like that.
The update introduces Gauntlets of Strength, which are full boss rush challenges that lead to new skills and a really good
I like
new
it.
weapon if you're able to beat all of their bosses without dying. So first let's go over the rewards, then we'll go over the new lore, the new boss
Means
phases, and at the end of the video I'm going to try and do live commentary for the first time, just showing you how
means we're in good company.
so this is Sakura Dance, a new weapon art that you'll receive if you defeat the three bosses in the Divine Air Gauntlet. It is, unabashedly, in my opinion, the most powerful weapon art in the game. Just look at this footage. I feel like this is From Software saying, hey, gauntlets are pretty damn hard. You should probably take this. For the low cost of one Spirit Emblem, Sakura Dance propels you high into the air, allowing you to dodge most ground attacks with three large sweeping slashes, from which you can transition into any mid-air prosthetic attack. So you can slam down with a loaded axe, you can start a Sabimaru combo, or throw some firecrackers. Just be creative. As if that wasn't enough though, Sakura Dance also reflects lightning, easily too, which, as
Where
we'll
are
get
we
into
at with
later, is
this?
pretty damn good against some of the new bosses. So let's talk about the gauntlets and their rewards. On your way to one of the main endings, you will unlock the Severance Gauntlet, which, if beaten, will reward you with the memories of the Tengu outfit, which belongs to Ishii. Just completing the game will also unlock the Ashina outfit, which belongs to the sculptor back in the days when he was called the Sekijo, the one-armed orangutan. You get to see what he looked like, which is pretty cool. Now, because some bosses are unique to different endings, and you need to defeat bosses to unlock the gauntlets, you'll have to go into the inbox
Oh
at some
yeah.
point if you want to unlock all the gauntlets on one character. For example, to unlock the Shura gauntlet, you'll have to kill all the bosses
Hey.
on the way to the Shura ending, but you'll also have to kill Our Father, who is actually a part of the Purification ending. Once you unlock and overcome the Shura gauntlet, you'll be rewarded with the Memory of Shura outfit, which is by far the best new skin, in my opinion, because it gives us an insight into what our harrowing life must be like after becoming Shura. And you might remember, during the Shura ending, the narrator tells of our subsequent murderous rampage throughout the Ashina countryside. Very few people survived, so this outfit is actually based on their memories, and it's told by the Ashina folk song. Fields of bodies, mountains of dead, down Dragon's Spring River, a country blood, fiery gold.
Do they?
Also, if these outfits aren't enough for you, I also recently
Are
released
you just saying that everybody's like
all of my
made with metal in those
So, I want to talk about memories
in those games with like the gorilla arms and all that stuff?
memories that you'll receive. For Sekiro, his memories are actually somewhat physical, as is evidenced by the fact that you can take items from them back into the world with you, even though these memories are just a recollection of something that's already happened. Now,
Probably
after countless
put these
recollections of
back.
the bosses in Sekiro's own memory, the remnants of these bosses have physically and mentally as well grown stronger as a result of all of those recollections. And this is all happening within the inner confines of our memory. So this is inner Genichiro, a young Genichiro watched as Tomoe danced. The movements held secrets and a high-tech technique that not even a lifetime could attain. And yet, in memory, after countless bouts with his mortal enemy, Genichiro at last reached those heights. Inner Genichiro's moveset is one of the better movesets that the game, in my opinion, because his new moves often subvert your expectations. He adds gap closes, new flurries, Sakura Dance combat art that does shift damage if you don't collect it, and best of all, a new lightning reversal. So that's right, when you play the
Alright.
reverse fire and you reflect Genichiro's lightning, he then says, no you, then he also reflects that lightning back at you. And from there, you can reverse his reversal of your reversal, ending this incredible lightning tennis match in style. As mentioned earlier, this is why Sakura Dance is
There we
actually
go.
a very welcome new addition to the game. Though if you don't have that equipped, it's probably better to just dodge through his lightning attacks now to avoid playing the game at all. Next, Inner Father Al. Inner Father Al once abandons the young wolf in Yusui Forest, expecting him to fend against the illusions, likely never to return. Only in victory would he recognize the boy as his son. In this way, and in this way alone, he raised the wolf as his own. It confirms what we already knew, that Al was a father to Sekiro to force the pursuit of strength, and in no other way. His new moveset is at its best when it subverts your expectations again, like the fire out in phase 2 that he throws sideways now sometimes to catch you jumping over it like you used to have to do. He also has some new combos, and I love when you attack him and he turns into Miss Raven, and you really have to watch out for that during your aggression. Getting hit in new ways has never been so much fun. Lastly, Ishi, which I personally feel like is the most disappointing new variant, just because the new moves are kind of just additions to his already enormous moveset. But I will say his new opening attack is really cool. If you time it right, you can sort of run right back into
Five.
the storm. All his life, Ishi sought opponents whom he could face in a battle to the death. It would be foolish to believe that his thirst could be sated in memory, to face the one who cut him down, and how the blood boils.
That. And where are my blues? There you are.
Here, you'll have to face 17 main bosses, including the 3 new boss variants, all in a row without dying, by the way. This is the hardest challenge you can do in the game, and if you complete it, your reward waits you in the dilapidated temple. You get nothing, nothing except the memory of an incredible journey, which, considering we've been talking about memories this entire video, is actually a pretty fitting reward, in my opinion. I had such a blast practicing and overcoming this content on stream with you guys. I'll never forget the first moment Kenichiro reflected my lightning when I desperately needed to get a kill on the second ape before its posture went down, or when my 2-year-old son Arlen burst into the room during the final boss fight of the Mortal Journey. Hi Arlo, you want to come in? If you're considering attempting these challenges, just make sure you pick up all the prayer beads as you head into New Game Plus, because your health relates to your character, but your attack power doesn't, so don't worry about that. It's possible that these fights are affected by New Game Plus, but I'm actually not sure yet. Maybe try not to go too high into New Game Plus unless you can confirm.
No more back pain from my bad sitting while drawing at it. Yeah, exactly.
These bosses, they're in the description. Watching all these folks helped me form my own personal strategies for dealing with all the bosses, and that's what I'm going to try and teach you all now. Enjoy, and good luck if you attempt this yourself.
Oh man, it's such a bummer I can't find
Alright,
that gray marker.
this is like my 3rd attempt recording this. I was originally going to narrate over it in post. But then I
Where
realized
could
all
it
my individual
be?
boss recordings, didn't have audio. And you want audio for these because you want to be able to hear all of the like ting ting of the successful parries, and you want to be able to hear cues and that sort of thing. So I'm also going to turn off the music. Turning off the music is actually something you could also do if you want to just, focus on the gameplay. So I would kind of recommend that, honestly, if you're practicing, even though the music is incredible. But we're going to start off with the gauntlet of strength here. We're going to do the divine air gauntlet, and we're going to start with Yoga.
I mean, I guess
Really one of the easiest.
I guess I could just use this one. I was hoping to use gray, but it's not that much yellow in this picture anyways, so I'll just use this kind of ivory color.
And then use firecrackers. Keep attacking. If you're lucky, you can get 7 attacks here, I think. Stay at medium distance, then you can get that grapple. Mid-air attack, 1 extra attack. And after you do about 15 attacks or so, you usually get stun locked. I think it's around 15. So I'm just staying at medium distance here, trying to exploit these grapples. And now I kind of want to get hit. So to get hit, you stay on his right side, and you get some nice parries in. In Sekiro, remember, a lot of the time the goal is actually to get hit so you can parry. Helps you learn their attacks as well. And in phase 2, I'll show you some cheats. If you really want to beat this fight with like no chance of failure. So, same principles if you get that far with that. And now I'm just going to show you what happens if you just hold block. Kyobu cannot break your guard, to the best of my knowledge, if you just hold block. His attacks do a lot of damage if they hit you, but they don't do that much lots of damage.
Yeah, keeping your posture while drawing is definitely something that is a constant battle my entire life. I've been...
It was actually an accident for me to use the weapon out there, because I'm not used to holding block. Yeah, we'll fight it normally. Until you want to use firecrackers, then it's not.
Like I remember I was getting
Firecrackers are amazing in this fight. After you get
X-rays at one point. I think it was probably just from like car accident or
so
something.
be aware of that. But yeah,
And
every 20 seconds or so. And this is
like the X-ray showed that my neck was jacked up, but it was from like all the times, like, because you know I've been drawing since I was a little kid. And I drew all the time, constantly,
because you can run into the wall.
and I guess it was from like hunching over the table, leaning my head over, and then my neck having to carry that weight.
Fun to learn parries. He has a lot of
Just like
really cool
couldn't do
attacks,
it.
And that's good. Man, I actually just finished doing this gauntlet before I realized that my recording was messed up. You also want to rest in between. That's something that I often forget to do. Not that it matters too much, but it's something to be aware of. Now, Lady Butterfly. Lady Butterfly is a hard boss for being such an early boss, but there is one thing you can do, or rather not do, to make her very easy, and that is don't attack. Don't attack. Attacking makes this boss so much harder, and I'll show you why. Also, equip your shurikens, and just get in her face and tap block. So unlike Yobu, where we were holding block, I'm just tapping block here. And when I say tap block, I don't mean like mindlessly tap it. I mean tap it constantly, but try to time it where she hits you. So tap it, but sort of try to tap it a little bit in sync with her attacks. And by doing this, there's virtually no chance that she'll ever hit you. There's virtually no chance that she'll really ever break your posture. But look at her posture. Out of all the bosses in the game, Lady Butterfly's posture recovers very slowly, even when at full health. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Attacking her is hard because finding a good flow with your attacks is difficult because she attacks so quickly sometimes. So she'll kind of like she becomes less complicated to do attack her. So if you're not confident, you can get by just blocking her. And then also shurikens. When she jumps on the wire, be aware that it's shuriken time. You also want to dodge through that triple attack. It's very obviously telegraphed. So as soon as you see her knees bend, that means she's going to jump off, and you can get a free attack in.
Oh, do I still have that color?
But yeah.
I was gonna throw this color away.
As well. Maybe I can show it to you now. So
Maybe it'll actually do something.
I'll try to show you the cheese in the next phase.
Probably
As
not.
well.
Doesn't look like it.
There is one cheesy thing you can do that makes this fight a bit of a joke. And basically what you do to cheese her is you just attack, dodge, attack, dodge, attack, dodge. So when you get an attack in, dodge. And you want to just repeat this, and it's basically impossible for her to break it. Of course, she cast this, so that does break it, but that's pretty rare for that to happen. If you have snap seeds, which you should, run into the middle of them and you can dispel them all at once. But I'll also show you how to.
There we go.
I'll show you how to deal with those if you don't have snap seeds. So this is the cheese. Dodge, attack, and it's very difficult for her to break out of it. It's very difficult for her to damage you, although it can happen. So yeah. The other thing in this phase is that she summons butterflies. And when she summons butterflies, what you want to do is you want to jump backwards and to an angle. And I'm not giving a good example of it here, but it does happen fairly frequently in this phase. And we want to try and get her to do that so I can show you. Also, the pause button is amazing in Sekiro. You don't even need to necessarily have snap seeds on your hotbar. So I really want her to use the butterfly now. And once you get this down, all you end up being aware of is just holding, tapping block, dodging backwards from butterflies, and looking out for her unblockables, which can be pretty easily telegraphed, but most of them just involve jumping over. So there's the butterflies. I'm just holding back and jump at an angle, and then after 3 jumps backwards, she'll almost always do a jump attack. There's her triple attack, and yeah, that's Lady Butterfly. The core of it is just stay on the defense, tap block, and then after you've got that down, you can dedicate, the rest of your mind towards avoiding her really obvious attacks like the sweep and the triple attack and the butterflies. Next up is Genichiro. I thought this fight was easy the first time I did it, but it's one of the harder inner fights. He has a lot of new attacks, and they kind of, if you're really used to the previous way to fight Genichiro, these new attacks are actually quite difficult to deal with because they really throw you for a loop and
Whoop.
surprise you. You want to have firecrackers, in my opinion. Firecrackers are overpowered basically every fight, and you get really good at using them after a while. So firecrackers are good. And also, if you have this, the quick Sakura dance is actually amazing against any type of lightning attack in the game. It counters it pretty much completely for free and without any real timing needed. But you do unlock this when you finish this gauntlet, so a lot of you might not have this unlocked yet. So
Let me see.
you don't really need it, but it is good. So I'm going to pretend we don't have it for now, and I'm going to show you in the second phase, you just want to dodge through his lightning and not use this. So that's one of his
Color
new
in
attacks.
there.
You want to parry it perfectly. Always be on the lookout for those Makitties, and let me just run around and talk about him for a bit. So Genichiro's battle flow is different from the previous two, and every boss fight has like a battle flow to it, right? Like Gyobu, you just basically block through his attacks and look for really obvious openings. Lady Butterfly, you just basically tap block and look for obvious openings. But Genichiro is my favorite battle flow, and the battle flow is sort of,
There we go.
it's attack until you get parried, then defend until you parry
Oh, you know what? That's what I want to do.
and just rinse and repeat. So I'll try to get into a good loop with him and show you what I mean.
Because
Attack, attack, until I get parried, and then I go on the defensive. So you might have seen it there. There'll probably be a better example. Sometimes you can get into a really long battle flow with Genichiro, but it's not really happening here, unfortunately. But there it is. So attack until you get parried, and then just deliberately press attack until you get parried, and then go on the defensive. So yeah, hopefully you know what I mean by battle flow, but I'm going to start the fight again so we get more practice in. And I'm just going to try and comment on what is happening on the screen now. So that was his triple attack. It's very obviously foreshadowed. You want to do the triple block against it. But
there we go. Just to really give these things a
basically with Genichiro, you want to stay pretty
flick
careful
out.
because he's pretty dangerous at a distance with his bow, and especially in a Genichiro, he has a lot more gap closing attacks. So you can get into this loop very often, and I'm just deliberately tapping R1 until I get parried. Don't spam R1, deliberately tap it each time. That's a really good example of the loop you can get in with Genichiro. Just attack, attack, parry, defend,
There
parry,
we go.
attack, parry. It just goes on and on. But now let's try and talk about some of his other attacks. When he jumps backwards like that, very often he'll pull out his bow, and you want to dodge into him when he jumps backwards. And sometimes he actually gets in a loop where he just keeps trying to pull out his bow, like this. He's going to pull out his bow. If you dodge towards him more accurately, that won't hit you. So his flurries are very dangerous in this too. There's a lot of new attacks to do with his flurries. If you see him starting a flurry, the best thing to do is actually firecracker him. Yep, there's the bow. I'm going to get a heal in there instead.
There we go.
So yeah, once you get the battle flow,
Oh, yeah.
you can start to look out for his other attacks and learn them. And honestly, you want to practice against regular Genichiro first, because inner Genichiro has a lot of new moves, and it can make it a bit more complicated. So this is his flurry. That's what I mean by firecrackering it. I could have beaten him much faster in the first phase. When he
Whoop.
goes to the side like that, he's always doing a sweep.
Are we focused?
And
There we
sometimes
go.
you get hyper armor like that afterwards. But you can be aware of the sweep and jump on top of it. When he does the jump in the air, dodge to the side of it. So the way to heal against him is to wait until he's doing another animation and then heal, otherwise he'll close that gap really quickly and interrupt you. So, this is where we can talk about the lightning attacks. I actually don't want to do too much damage because I want him to do the lightning attacks. So I can show them to you. Let me just pause. So, if you don't have this, just dodge through the lightning attacks. And I'll show you what that means. Like that. Wait for them to hit you, then dodge through it. Because if you reflect the lightning attacks, he will now, in individual mode, he will now reflect them back at you, so you have to reflect them twice. So you play lightning tennis with him. But if you have Sakura Dance, and I'll show you what I mean by Sakura Dance being amazing. I actually don't want to kill him here. I'm going to Sakura Dance his next lightning attack. And I'm going to skip forward to when that lightning attack actually happens. Any second now, Genichiro. Okay, there it is. Basically, you see lightning, you can use Sakura Dance, and you will counter it 100% of the time. Basically, Sakura Dance as a weapon art, is just, From Software's gift to you for giving you such hardcore instant speed. So, yeah, you want to equip Sakura Dance.
Alright, where do I have that? There you are.
It's just amazing, man. It's incredible. I'll show it to you quickly. It can get you over other enemies. You can use prosthetic arts in the middle of it. It reflects lightning. It's just broken. So next we'll do Severance. This is probably the hardest gauntlet of strength, I think, because it's also the longest. But it's fun. Guardianate is fun. So, Guardianate. You have a really big opportunity to get ready at the start of this fight. And by get ready, I mean buff your character. But the prosthetics you want are Firecracker, you want to have the Flame Vent, and you want to have Loaded Spear. Preferably the low-level Loaded Spear, so it doesn't use very much Spirit Emblems. And then at the start of this fight, you can just start buffing. So put on an Arco Shooter, so you can get some more damage, use a Divine Confetti, and also equip Oil on your hotbar if you have it. Oil makes this first phase go so quickly, and honestly, if I do this right, this will be over before you know it. So as I'm running towards him, as soon as he sees me, I'm going to chuck some oil at him, and before he can hit me, I'm hopefully going to hit him with this, and burn him. I'm going to switch to my Firecrackers and use them here, and I'm just going to go to town. And this should stun him soon. There it is. And with any luck, he'll also be very stunned soon with any luck. Yeah, see, there we go, that's the big stun. Now, he's almost dead, and I've barely done any fight here. If he does the running attack, you just run away from it. And now you can do, it depends on how much health you have left, but this fight's almost over. Basically, you vary between using Long Spark and Fire. So I'm going to use Long Spark here. You can use it about once every 20 seconds. After the first one, he does a slam attack, so be aware of that. And then it's on cooldown. So I'm going to switch to the oil, and I'm going to use the fire instead. Wait until you get an opportunity to use the fire. And then he does this as well. So, depends on how much health you have left after that intro sequence, but you can vary between those two things and just constantly keep them unlocked. If you don't do that, the fight's pretty hard. There's a lot of posture damage, and his moveset's pretty unpredictable. So I'd recommend doing that in the gauntlet, at least. But I'm talking as if the fight's over, and that's because it basically is. This phase is just easy. The reason you might think this phase is hard is because you probably haven't had much practice at it, because the first phase often beats people. But you just want to parry the sword until he does the slam, double tap your spear to pull out the centipede, and that does a huge amount of posture damage. When he screams, run straight behind him. The hitbox of the scream is actually really small behind him, but it's really large in front of him. If he jumps in the air, you just jump when you see the warning symbol. And now, it's again one of those situations where we just want to get hit, so we can get our parries in. The more of these you parry, the more likely it is he'll do that.
get you. And now we'll kind of
There are a few things to watch out for, I guess. But
close
most of them in this phase are just sweeps that you jump over,
these
like
off.
so. That was good timing. So whenever you see a warning sign in this phase, it generally just means time to jump.
There we
That's
go.
it. Look, spear makes this so easy. I gotta say, since there were all these new boss fights in this orbit, I was kind of hoping there would be like a third phase of the ape. Can you imagine? They just add a secret third phase to mess with you. So what's next? Great Shinobi Armor. Okay, so firecrackers are kind of the best thing for this fight, but honestly, it's not really a prosthetic heavy fight. The very easy way to defeat this is by staying at a medium distance and dodging through his attacks. So I'll show you that now. Medium distance, that's an exploitable attack. Get back to your medium distance, and that's an exploitable attack. Just dodge through it. You basically dodge through any of his sweeps and any of his jump attacks. Okay, see, if I spaced that properly, I wouldn't have got hit. And yeah, so Al is one of those fights you want to deal health damage to him early. You don't really want to worry about his posture at all, because unlike Lady Butterfly, his posture will come back very quickly, unless you do some significant health damage. He can follow up sometimes when you're behind him, so be aware of that. Like here, and if you run away too early, you'll also get caught. I got hit on purpose there, so you can see that. But generally in this arena, you want to heal when they're busy doing some other animation. Otherwise you will get punished severely. So yeah, when you're behind him, be wary that you can follow up, and that's when you tap one with parry. You can also exploit that healing attack, but I'll get into that in a second. But he's almost half health now. I'm just dodging through all his sweeps, staying at a medium distance when I can.
There we go.
And if you're confident, you can fight it normally here. So let me sort of show you what that looks like. The thing is, when you fight Al normally, this fight becomes a lot more complicated. So if you really want to cheese it, you just play at a medium distance until he's out of health. Like you never worry about his posture at all. But it's a really fun fight to learn how to do this. Like he's got a lot of very fun sword play that you can counter.
There we
See,
go.
that's like a Lloyd's.
I mean, I guess this wasn't so bad. Starting with the black, there was just some blending issues that happened,
When he does that,
and the black kind of gets dumbed out.
go behind him and do what I just did there. So hopefully we get another example.
So yeah, I wonder if I hit it with fixative, if it'll do that, or if it'll like prevent that from happening.
Green orb attack.
Because if it does, great.
So you can use this opportunity to buff if you want to. Hey, if you want, you can also maybe throw some oil at him. Okay, I'm actually not sure if you can. This is probably not the best time to test new strategies. Yeah, no, you can't. Never mind. Alright, phase 2. Unlock, attack behind him, and you can clip him twice with your sword.
There we go.
Same principles in this phase, except the poison can make your
So where are we at? We're at an hour?
strategy a little bit harder, because the
Okay.
enemy's covered in poison.
Now, I wasn't sure how long I was gonna do because I didn't know what how this was all gonna like work out. I know I don't have time. I don't know how much I want to like start another picture and then not finish it, like I've been doing like the last couple of streams. I kind of like to start and finish all within one stream, so that way it's all just one conscious thought, one conscious flow, to finish something. And yeah, I don't have enough time to start something new without finishing it, or start something new and finish it. So I don't know if I'm gonna do that or not. So yeah, that's probably gonna be the end of this episode. Let me see, where are we at? Yeah, this looks good, man. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but you could see how much darker this gets when I ink with black first, and I kind of throw in all the shades with black instead of like building upon them with color. Ultimately, the biggest difference is you get a lot more neutral tones and you know, a lot more beiges and browns and things like that, and less black, and the black kind of pops up in like the real shadow areas, but it looks like a more lit thing, while this um it definitely looks similar, but it's also definitely a lot darker. And yeah, man, see, that's the difference between, that's what I kind of wanted to do with this picture, and I probably should have did that, was ink it first and then go back. So I wonder if that's what I'm gonna do. This ended up being like a 4-hour stream or something. um so yeah, I don't know if I have another 4-hour stream in me. uh I have a 6-inch square right here. I could possibly even just put it right below it. I mean, I got little the flute panda kind of there in the way, but um yeah, but in the overall picture, the panda would be kind of here, so that'd be fine. I don't mind that. Like, these things aren't masterpieces. This is all just concepts in a sketchbook. So um I wonder if I want to retackle this picture. If I do, it's going to be another, I don't know if I do another 4-hour stream, but I think it would be interesting to see it back to back, and then kind of how would I go about doing it now that the my pink and magenta colors here are like super. uh Again, it's like hard to build on color, like what I was saying here, how you build and it kind of makes the neutral tones and everything like that. It's hard to build with dry markers. So it may even be better to just use black ink and really hit those shaded areas. That way, the places that would need and require color are going to be a lot less. I have a bunch of gray markers, so that way I can kind of like lay all those down and then just throw the pink on top of it. And that way I minimize the amount of pink that I'm using, so I don't have to worry about getting this dry marker look. So yeah, I might want to retackle this, and it'll be interesting to see how I draw the same thing a second time, because it definitely won't be the same. There's little things that are getting lost that I wonder if using black ink would pick up a lot better, like the gun detail, like especially the butt end over here, like if that's even getting picked up anymore. I mean, so yeah, I may do that just as a fun experiment, and at least try to give myself a decent picture. Because yeah, I tried to go with this method first, and it didn't work out just because there was a lot of dark in the picture. So it was like, I should have just started dark like I did with this one. And now that I see the end result, it's not terrible. It's not terrible at all. Um, I really like it. The only thing that kind of is weird is having to reintroduce the white by going over the black ink with white and then coloring over the white again, which is why I would avoid it in the first place. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal, and it didn't work out too terribly, you know. So yeah, man. Let's see. Yeah, so that's gonna be the end of this episode, man. I want to thank everyone watching. It was an hour long, and yeah, I just want to thank you for watching the Andrew Glowczewski Experience, episode 218. We colored and shaded this one in, got a really decent result. And it's interesting to know that I could do it this way, because like I was saying when I inked it last time, that's kind of how I imagined the manga going. Once I get into drawing the manga, I'll do the pencils and then I'll do the inks and not really color it all so much. Like, I'll color certain things in, but think of it like a manga. It's always in black and white. So that's kind of what I'm imagining it being. It's kind of like a inked comic book without the colors for the most part, like covers and maybe like special pages and things like that would get colored. But other than that, for the most part, it'll probably be just black and white, which gives people something to look forward to in the animation one, because obviously the animation wouldn't be black and white. That would be, in colors and things like that. Um, So yeah, man, this is very interesting. It was a good stream. I like it. I like this end result. I was a little bit worried, to be honest, and I'm looking forward to retackling this. The more I think about it, the more I think it needs to be done. It was just a big picture, a 6 by 6 inch square and all that detail. I have all this black ink that I'm not using, and it was like, oh, that was the perfect opportunity to do so. Uh, Let me see. The last one that got the 6 by 6 inch treatment was this one, and again, I didn't go with the black ink. There we go, focus. But then I threw it in the background, and I probably should have sharpened that up. I was being an artist and being froggy with it, and yeah. But again, this one probably could have benefited from it. Maybe when I work on these larger pictures, they ought to be inked firsthand. Like maybe that's the route I go. You got to learn these things on, as you move on. That's how we establish styles and looks and things like that. These small ones, it really doesn't matter. But for bigger pieces, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I want to thank you for watching. I'm G Mr. Drew. It's at G Mr. Drew on all social media. You can follow, like, and subscribe. Um, Again, any and all support is appreciated, whether it's a follow, a like, a share, um, anything like that, or just word of mouth. Like, these raids that happen on Twitch are, invaluable, man. There's so I wouldn't know how to quantify the value of it. So I just really appreciate everyone's support in this, and shout out to Nope. Thank you for joining me. And I like that, man. Cyberpunk Cyclops. Like, it's funny. I do have something like a Cyclops character in here, and I guess this guy kind of is a Cyclops, like, since he's literally a one-eyed person. So, but yeah, it works out, and it looks dope, and I like that description, man. Especially that's why I love this leather jacket popped collar look so much too. But yeah, man, shout out to you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. And yeah, man, I'll see y'all next time, man. Love y'all. Peace.